Hey everyone, and happy Monday. We are here because that's where else would we be? We're here because we want to be here. We want to join you all. Jim Williams, Chris King, talking about just parlays. Happy Monday to everybody. Happy Monday to you, Chris. Hope you had a nice weekend.
Yeah, it was peaceful, so I mean, can't complain too much about that. The weather, of course, turned last night, but apparently all the rain that was here is up there by you guys now.
Yes, thanks a lot. As I can say right now, it's raining here in the DMV, but it's a Monday, so what are you going to do, right? Before we get started, let's talk about our buddies at DraftKings, okay? Because DraftKings has a wonderful promo for winners and whiners, picks and parlays, and of course, all of us right here on the Max Wagers Network. Now, here's what you got to do. It's pretty simple, folks. All you got to do is this. Bet $5 to win $200 in a free bet. Make your first deposit of $5 into a bet and on any Major League Baseball money line and win $200 in free bets. Pretty simple to do. What do you think, Chris? Simple?
I would say so.
There you go. All right. You got it from the man. All right. Not just from me, but an endorsement from Chris King. All right. So make your deposit, $5. Bet on any MLB money line and win $200 in free bets. All you got to do is this. Use our promo code, Winners and Whiners Video. Get all the information in our show box below. And as always, we say, first, you have to be 21 years of age to participate, and always, always bet responsibly. Okay, so all that's in the show box below with lots more stuff that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But first, we got baseball to get to. And we're going to go to the Three Rivers and PNC Park, where the Brew Crew is headed, and they will be taking on the Buccos in where the Allegheny and Monongahela get together to form the Ohio River.
Except you've got it backwards because the game's at Miller Park.
And if you're not in Pittsburgh, which would be a wonderful place to be, go 90 miles north of Chicago, and you'll be in Milwaukee, where Miller Park is. Lovely ballpark there.
What is it now? American Family Field or some crap?
I have no idea. I'm calling it Miller Park until somebody, changes it back. It's just me. I'm going to do that. So, yeah, I mean, it's a lovely ballpark in Milwaukee. Great town. Get your brats while you can and enjoy. So, Chris, go for it, buddy.
Yeah, we've got the real exciting matchup, the NL Central. The Pirates somehow 5-4 because they actually beat Washington over the weekend. The Brewers are 5-5. Everybody expected the Brewers to be better than this. They've got to learn how to hit the ball. They've kind of struggled with that so far this season. You look at the numbers, Milwaukee hitting a robust, let's see here.
Are they above the Mendoza line?
They're hitting .213 as a team.
Okay, so they're just above the Mendoza line.
Yeah, Willie Adams is hitting $189. Colton Wong's hitting $194. Yelich is hitting right at the Mendoza line at 200. He's driven in 2 runs this season. McCutchen is probably one of the hottest bats. He's hitting $282. But for some reason, they're still trotting out Lorenzo Cain and his $158 average, playing center field. And it's been a weird year for the Brewers because, you look at their pitching and expect that that's going to be what carries them. But Hauser's 0-2. Woodruff is 1-1, and his ERA is over 7. And that's when he brought it down from being over 17 after his opening start. You look at some of these other guys, and it's like, Freddie Peralta has an ERA of 11.57. You have to think these numbers are going to get better. And I guess when you face the Pirates, that's a good chance for that to happen. To Zach Thompson, no ERA of 4.50 or no record of 4.50 ERA, a 1.50 WHIP, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, and 4 innings in his 1 start this year. Eric Lauer, no record of 6.23 ERA, a 1.154 WHIP, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, over 4 1/3 in his season debut for the Brewers. Pittsburgh's 12th in runs per game. Who would have thought that? At 444, though, I guess, like we said the other day, when you're facing Washington for 3 or 4 games, it gives you a good chance to boost up your numbers. They're 18th in runs on the road at 3.67 in their 3 contests. Look at that. Milwaukee is 27th in the majors in runs per game, 3.1. They've scored 31 runs in 10 games. Clearly, that's going to have to improve. I'm banking on the fact that they can do that against Pittsburgh. Milwaukee 5-1 in their last 6 at home against a right-handed starter, 4-1 in their last 5 as a home favorite, 4-1 in their last 5 against a right-handed starter, 4-1 in their last 5 at home overall. Pittsburgh 14-42 in their last 56 against a left-handed starting pitcher, 15-45 in their last 60 on the road, and 35-90 in their last 125 meetings in Milwaukee. Now, in the pre-show, Jim, we were talking, and you were talking about how Pittsburgh has basically 4 starters and then 3 long guys. And Marlo, you're a Pirates fan, so you could probably chime in on how the way Derek Shelton is using the arms in that rotation and that bullpen. I know they've got what is it? Yahur is one of the names. Miguel Yahur. What do you guys make of going to this? We're just going to try and throw guys 3 or 4 innings and try and get through games that way.
I think the theory of the case, while the boys out there put down their thoughts, is that they want to stretch him out. And so they're going 4, and then the other guy will go 3 or 4 and trying to do it that way. And seeing, also they got a lot of young pitchers to go with a couple of older pitchers. And I think they really just want to see, what they have. So there's that. I will say this, Pittsburgh played ridiculously good defense. I mean, there was some balls that were hit that were rockets, and they either ran it down in the outfield or the infielders, made some spectacular plays. So defensively, I was impressed with watching the Pirates, because it doesn't matter who hits the ball 102 miles an hour if the other team can dive and catch it.
True.
So there's that. Now, what to me the strangest thing is you got Christian Yelich, and he's only hitting 200. I mean, right. Christian Yelich is much better than that.
Yeah, Marlo said a lot of youth, a lot of 4A pitchers.
Yeah.
That non-existent league between guys that are too good for AAA and not good enough for the majors. But, I mean, just looking at the numbers for the Pirates, the guy who's thrown the most innings so far for Pittsburgh is Will Crowe, and he's listed as their closer. He's thrown 9 2/3 innings. You look at the 5 starters. Quintana has made 2 starts. He's gone 9 1/3. Bryce Wilson's made 2 starts. He's gone 8 1/3. Keller's made 2 starts. He's gone 7 2/3. Brubaker's gone 7 1/3 in his 2 starts. And you're looking at Pittsburgh, we're 9-10 games into the season, and they've used 15 different pitchers. And you look, and the starting rotation has 0 wins for the Pirates. The starters are a combined 0-4. The bullpen is 5-0.
The funny stat, I saw a funny stat this morning on the Mets. The Mets have the top, this should not be a surprise, the top starting pitching in baseball. But then when you get past the 6th inning, they have the second worst bullpen in baseball. So even though the Mets have gotten off to a good start, they're going to have to figure out that bullpen, because Scherzer and the gang can't go 9 innings. This is not going to happen. So.
Yeah, and that's a valid point. You look at some of these guys in the bullpen, and Rodriguez has an ERA of 13.5, and so does Sean Reed Foley, and Seth Lugo. They've relied on him for so long. His ERA is over 8 right now, and he's pitched in 5 games already.
Right.
And that's been the Mets' problem. They were up 4-0 over the Phillies in a game last week in the 8th inning, and promptly gave up 5 in the 8th and lost.
Right.
And that's going to be their issue. They're going to, like you said, they're going to have to find some guys that can get outs, because when you look at the starting rotation and you see that Scherzer has the worst earned run average of the 5 starters, because Taijuan Walker had 0. Granted, he only pitched 2 innings. But Chris Bassett's at 0.75, Carrasco's at 0.84, Tyler McGill, he's pitching tonight, making his third start. You know, he got the opening day start against DeGrom, or in place of DeGrom.
Right.
He pitched 10 1/3 innings and given up no runs.
Yeah.
So Scherzer's sitting at 327 going, what the hell? I'm the worst guy on the staff.
Right.
And we know that's not going to be the case at the end of the season, but
right.
You're looking at these stars, and the Mets, if they could get a bullpen, would probably be in a lot better shape than they are, even sitting at 7-3.
Right. Right. Things tend to catch up with you after a while. Hey, let's go to the next game. But before we do, let's bring in a pal of ours. Allie, you ready? Shake your head if you're ready. Okay, you got there. You go. All right, here we go. Allie Burns is dropping by. Hey, Allie Burns, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
We're doing well, thank you. In honor of you being here, our next game just happens to be two of your favorite teams, the Braves and the Dodgers.
Ugh.
Don't throw up on the air. It's not nice.
Well, Tim said Lugo's trash, so he said the Mets should trade him. I don't know what you'd get for him at this point, Tim.
Yeah.
But, you might get a bag of chips. They might be stale chips.
All that and a bag of stale chips. I love it.
There you
Megan
go.
Nicole Turner, I took the Nerfy in the Giants game. That was Lenny's big play of the day, so I'm on the Nerfy for the Giants today.
I agree with that, too, because we were just talking about McGill hasn't given up a run all year, and Cobb was pretty good against the Padres in his one start. And neither one of those teams necessarily are offensive juggernauts, no matter what Tim will tell you about that Mets lineup. Let's face it, Pete Alonso's hitting 231. I don't care if he's driven in 14 runs. You look at the Mets, and they've got Cano's hitting 217. McCann's hitting $105. Dominic Smith is hitting 118. Those aren't numbers that I want to see when I'm trying to look for a team to put runs on the board.
Now, Allie, you did win with the Dodgers. And I know you were wearing black, I think, that day. When you bet the Dodgers at opening day, which, I mean, how can you not, right?
I have never in my life laid -2.5 runs in a baseball game, but I did it with the Dodgers, and I laid 1.5, and I had them -0.5 a run in the first 5, and I cashed all 3 of those, and I still feel dirty about it, but it was a situational play, and I'm glad I made it. So, I cashed them. What are you going to do? Sometimes you just got to hold your nose and make a bet, people.
That's true. I mean, there are things where you just say to yourself, I know this is going to happen. It's inevitable. Do it.
Yeah.
Well, and if you look, the Reds then proceeded to get swept in that series. So things not looking too promising in the Queen City of Ohio.
Right.
Yeah, and they had a good little start. They looked okay against the Braves, but I just wonder if the Braves didn't look as good as I thought they should. Did the Reds look good or did the Braves look bad, really?
I think the Braves are still riding the hangover of winning the World Series last year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And getting used to not having Freddie. But, hey, it's a reunion. They get to see him today. Today they'll get to hang out with their old friend Freddie.
Right. They can talk about World Series rings.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. That's this is the one game of the day that might be worth watching on television.
So there's that. Yeah, this is one I definitely would like to watch. I mean, and that is kind of fun. We've got the new World Series champs against the ex-World Series champs, and trades have been made, and there's a lot to unpack here. We've got a good storyline in this game, and I love a good storyline. So.
Oh yeah, and you've got are the Braves going to get any revenge on by beating up on the Dodgers with their old buddy Freddie Freeman playing first base?
I was surprised that the Nerfy was so low in this one. The no-run first inning was pretty. Where is it? It was a 134 for the no. I thought with Kershaw it would at least just be like a 140 something with him.
I guess they're basing on the fact that is horrible.
Yeah. So that's why I couldn't take it. It almost looks too cheap. So it makes me want to take the yes run first inning, but I'm just going to lay off.
Notice though that I'm sorry, Allie, go ahead.
No, it's even money for the yes.
No,
so you're probably safer staying away from it.
Yeah. The interesting thing to me about the Dodgers are the amount of runs they score after the sixth inning. Pretty much almost 60%, 70, almost 70% of the runs the Dodgers have scored this year have come after the 6th inning.
That's really good to know. Who was it? Alan Miles, I believe, was telling me that he's had a lot of luck in the in play, taking those with Dodgers would be the perfect example, right?
Mhm.
Somewhere in that first 5 innings or so, say your total of 7.5.
Right.
If no one's scoring, it'll come down to a 5.5. So if you
Right.
find trends like that where teams score late, take that in the 4th, 5th inning over 5.5. And he said he's been hitting on those pretty well. Because, then the bullpens get involved. So if there's a significant drop in that total in play, you should jump on it.
And the funny thing is, it looks like the only guy getting hits for the Dodgers in the first few innings is Trey Turner.
You get it, Trey. Thanks for showing up to work today, Trey.
Yeah, exactly. You get the FP Santangelo used to have a line. It was when he was playing for the Montreal Expos. What happened is that every time they get their first hit, the Expos would get the first hit. He was being managed at that point in time by Moses Alou, and Alou would say, tell him, and FP would go, okay, there goes the no hitter, and he was the designated there goes the no hitter guy. So someone in the Dodgers dugout when Trey Turner gets up is going to go, okay, there's the no hitter. And that might be the first hit of tonight's ball game against But anyway, yeah, the Dodgers are oddly enough scoring a lot of runs after the first few innings.
Yeah, to Jim's point, they've scored 18 times in the 8th inning this season.
Holy cow!
Already.
There's got to be a prop on that.
Yeah, 18 in the 8th, 16 in the 4th, and then in the rest of the innings combined, they've scored a total of 17 runs.
Well, there is an in play on that. It'll, like on my app, it'll do the 3-way line at the end of it. Like it'll do the 4th and 5th, the 6th and 7th. And it's always plus money for either team. And then the draw is like a minus 145-ish. So I was kind of messing around with if it's a game where they're both scoring throughout, just taking both teams at plus money, leave out the draw and hope one of them does score, which kind of worked for me sometimes and kind of didn't. And I fell off of it. But with that knowledge with the Dodgers, now I can wait on that 8th inning and just take the Dodgers plus money. Yes, they will score in the 8th. And we'll call that a day. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, they've hit 4 of their 7 homers this season have come in the 8th.
So there you go.
And they've got a 458 average in the inning, a 544 on-base percentage, and a 750 slugging percentage. And on balls in play, they're hitting 546 in the 8th. So,
but you got to figure that lineup from top to bottom, which is a murderer's row type lineup, over the season is going to start to average out. This might be an early season aberration. I don't know.
But yeah, that's
you look in 5 different innings, they've scored 2 runs or less.
Right. No, I know.
So I mean, it's
that's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
But Mark wants to know something about basketball. Hey, Mark, we're going to be with that in just a minute. Okay, buddy? Hang with us. Don't go anywhere. So, yeah, we like the Dodgers over the Bravos.
Yeah, Tim, I saw the total move back up to 7. Did it go back to 6.5 again? And Tim also said he'll take a hot dog for Seth Lugo.
I would need a chili cheese dog.
You're
going to have to spruce that dog up for me. Yeah.
There you go. Hey, Allie, how are the Aviators?
You know what? I have tickets this Friday. I'm going to go see them. I haven't really been keeping up with how they're doing, though. I know they're on the road right now.
Mm-hmm. I was out there when they were building the new ballpark. It looks like a lovely ballpark.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's one of the best offices I ever had, was sitting in that press box with the whole freaking field and the smell, and you hear the umpires and the chatter and all that stuff. One of my favorite jobs ever. The stadium is beautiful. And I'm really excited to go. I try to go to at least 5 or 6 games every season. So I'm starting off early. We're going Friday.
There you go. Get out there early and often. Okay.
Exactly.
So
Vegas is 6-6 on the year.
6-6. All
yep,
right.
They got crunched yesterday by Salt Lake.
Oh, the Bees. Isn't that who they are? The Bees? Yeah.
They used to be the Buzz, I think, and then they might have changed it.
They went from the Buzz to the Bees, seriously?
I'm not sure if they did or not. I know they were the Buzz.
What marketing guy got money for that? I mean, honest to God. That's like new Coke. I mean, geez. All right.
Don't get
Okay.
me started on New Coke. That stuff was terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible. All right. Okay. Let's move off this since we know the Dodgers are going to win because they are. And let's move on to the national. Well, we're going to the NHL first, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to do the NBA, we can do the NBA.
Let's do the NBA first because we have some questions.
I know nothing about this.
That's okay.
I'm out of this. I do know that it's National Velociraptor Day. Thank you, Tim Earl. And so I think that gives the Raptors a bit of a starting chance here. However, I know 2 of their guys are out. That's my NBA knowledge.
Hey, any knowledge is good knowledge. Okay.
There we go.
So there you go.
What you guys have to say.
All right. Well, let's see what we're doing first. God knows. Here we go. Sixers and Raptors. All right. There you go, Mark.
Yeah.
It's right there. Right there.
Everybody wants to jump on the Raptors because it's Velociraptor Day. And
here's the funny thing: it's National Velociraptor Awareness Day.
Awareness?
Yeah, the awareness really stands out for me on that one.
Yeah, that falls into the category of can you even acknowledge what it is? Okay, and it's like okay,
I'm aware of them, yes, but okay, back to sports. I'm sorry.
Meanwhile, off the paleontology and back to sports. Here we go.
Yeah, I mean the bad part for Toronto, like Ali said, is they're going to be missing guys. Scotty Barnes is doubtful tonight with an ankle sprain. Gary Trent is doubtful with an illness. Thad Young's hyperextended his thumb. He's doubtful too. We just watched them get obliterated in the first game of this series where they didn't stop anybody. And it was a disappointing showing because I really thought they were going to play better than that. But, they lost by 20 points. It was over by halftime when you get right down to it. Because I think at that point it was, 69-51.
Yeah.
And Toronto never really made a serious push after that. And without Barnes, it's going to be tough. I mean, now you're going to have to rely more on Siakam to step up. Precious Achiuwa is going to have to actually, do something, which, has been a challenge. They got carved up by Tyrese Maxey the other day. He had 38. Made Harden's job a lot easier, so we didn't have to watch him airball jump shots like he was trying to play like Russell Westbrook. But I think in the end of the day, going on this one, with Thibault being able to play since it's in Philadelphia, it's just going to work in Philadelphia's advantage, plus taking advantage of all the injury issues. It's going to be tough without Barnes and without Trent. I mean, those are 2 valuable scoring options for the Raptors, and trying to replace those points is not the easiest thing to do, especially this time of year, because you're looking at trying to rely on guys that hadn't really played all that much for you this season. I mean, where are you going to get those points from?
Well, what about, they don't have anybody that – Joel Embiid is good under normal circumstances. If you don't have anybody in the middle of the court, in the middle of the key that's going to stop him, why not just give him the ball all the time?
And that's another thing too. I mean, he only shot 5 of 15 from the floor the other day, but he had 19 points and 15 rebounds.
Right.
And it made life that much easier for everybody else because Harris had 26, Harden, like I said, had 22, and Thibault had 38. Even Shake Milton had 10 in 14 minutes. It's going to be tough without those guys because, like I said, who's going to replace that production? I mean, Barnes was productive all year long. Is probably going to be in the running for Rookie of the Year. Trent, I know he had a rough patch for a while there, but he still averaged better than 18 points a game. So you take out him and Barnes, you're losing 33.5 points a game from what you had in the regular season. Well, who's going to make up that ground?
The other thing, though, Chris, is that during the regular season, we did this a lot, right? We talked about the Raptors a lot. We like the Raptors, but the Raptors are a very short bench team.
That's true.
There's just nothing there. So if you take those guys out, not simple sample size, there ain't no place for those points to come from, and they don't play that great a defense to start with.
Yeah, I mean, you look and Barnes played 31.5 minutes and Trent played 26 the other day. Mm-hmm. But they only went 7 deep as far as guys that played double-digit minutes. Achiuwa played 28.5. Boucher played 15. And then you go down to Kem Birch, who played 8. And I got news for you. If you're going to try to rely on Kem Birch for offense, you've got problems. Because, you're talking about a guy that hasn't done anything in the NBA in his life.
Mm.
I mean, he was decent a couple of years ago, but he only played 19 games.
He wasn't a scoring factor.
Yeah, I mean, in 2021, after he got traded to Toronto, he scored averaged 12 points a game, like I said, but that was 19 games. You look at before that, he was averaging 5.3 points for the Magic before he got traded. Then the year before that, he averaged 4.4, 4.8, and 4.2. Birch isn't going to get you any kind of production that's going to make up for what you're losing with Barnes and Trent.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be their problem. That's going to be the downfall for them here because, like you said, first you got to stop Embiid. And if you try to stop him with Siakam, it's going to open up Harris or somebody else. And then how are you going to get the production offensively to bail yourself out? I just don't see it happening. I mean, I like the Raptors. I think they'll have a better chance when they go back to the Scotiabank Arena because Thibault can't play in those games. Maybe by then Trent will be over his illness. Maybe by then
we got to get Barnes back too.
Yeah, maybe by then Barnes can walk a little bit. Like Sly said, Embiid crushed Barnes' foot. At least you didn't sweep the leg. It's not, Johnny Lawrence.
Right. Not a wrestling thing. Yeah.
But I just think it's going to be an uphill climb for Toronto tonight.
All right, moving on from the Raptors and the Sixers.
We're going to crush Tim's dreams.
Oh God. Yeah.
Because I don't have a ton of faith in the Nuggets tonight either. I mean, we watched how things unfolded against Golden State the other day. The Warriors, they got to play Curry off the bench. He only had only played 22 minutes. Jordan Poole had a big game. And what's scary now is if you remember when Golden State was going to the finals all the time, they rolled out that small ball death lineup with Iguodala and Draymond Green and all that. They had a small ball lineup in game one where it was Wiggins and Green and Thompson and Curry and Poole. They played 5 minutes and outscored Denver by 14. That's basically the difference in the game, was that 5-minute stretch. If they run that lineup, I mean, sure, Jokic is going to get his points, but let's be honest. Jokic is going to get his points if Wilt Chamberlain was on the floor.
Right.
Well, there's that.
I'm not going to take anything away from Nikola Jokic. He's a great player. The problem is they don't really have a supporting cast. They needed to have Michael Porter Jr. come back. They needed to have Jamal Murray come back. Guess what? They're not here. Neither is Alex English. Neither is Adrian Dantley. Neither is Pat Lever or Dan Issel or any of those guys. And that's the problem. Are you going to rely on Aaron Gordon to put up, 30 points? Are you going to rely on Will Barton?
The other thing, though, Chris and Allie, on the Golden State side, is in that period that you're talking about, Chris, the other night when they went to the small ball thing.
Yeah, the death lineup.
The death lineup. It reminded me of the old days of North Carolina when they would put in that substitute five where they'd bring them in and they just ball out for 5 minutes and everybody else could not, were sucking air at the end of it. If you watch the tempo they played in those 5 minutes was ridiculous. And they were hitting from everywhere.
Krzyzewski used to do that too.
Yeah.
As much as I'm not a Duke fan, I mean, he used to do that even going back to the 80s when it was he'd roll out, a la Abdel Nabi and all those guys.
Right.
Because it works, because you can get your starters a breather and those guys can go balls to the wall for 3-4 minutes and keep you in the game. And then, like you said, by the end of it, the other team's sucking wind and your starters can come back in and reel off 8 or 10 points and completely change the complexion of the game.
Right. And you said they scored 14 points, the other team, against the Nuggets team that it was undermanned to begin with.
And that's the tough part for Denver. I mean, Jokic could put up 40, 20, and 12, and Denver could probably still lose the game 7 times out of 10 because they don't have reliable options. I mean, nobody's going to count on Gordon. Nobody's going to count on Will Barton. Monty Morris, I'll give him that. He's a great backup point guard, but that's just it. He's a 6th or 7th guy. He's not a guy that you're going to try and say, well, yeah, he's going to match up against Klay Thompson for 40 minutes. And that's the problem with Denver is they don't have that depth of talent to work with. You should look at their rotation. And, I mean,
Well, they're in the same boat Toronto is in. Good
I mean,
enough to make the playoffs and talented enough to stay, but it's all depth. I mean, no matter what sport, right, Allie? Whether it's
Yeah.
baseball, football, whatever. You can go 9 guys in baseball. You can go, 20 guys in football. But at the end of the day, depth wins. And when you're in the playoffs specifically, depth.
And what also wins is keeping your cool because,
Yeah.
DeMarcus Cousins played 9.5 minutes and got himself thrown out.
Yeah, that's not helpful.
Yeah, that's not going to help either because he's one of the guys that at least has some experience playing in the postseason. You got Austin Rivers, you got Bones Highland, you got the ghost of Jeff Green who stopped being a good player 12 years ago, but still is still in the league.
He's got a jersey.
He's drawn a check.
Yeah.
But just if you look, I know they played 9 guys for at least 13 minutes, and Cousins probably would have gotten there had he not gotten thrown out. But when you look at those bench guys, who scares you if you're an opposing coach? If you're Steve Kerr and you're looking and going, well, do I want to defend Nikola Jokic or am I worried about Jeff Green? I think that's pretty much a no-brainer.
I think that answer is pretty simple.
And you're looking at Golden State, and they brought Curry off the bench in that game.
Right. He's your 6th man.
Yeah, your 6th guy is Steph Curry or Austin Rivers.
Yeah.
I think even Doc Rivers wouldn't pick his own kid in that situation.
Right. Yeah, I think it's you know what? I'll take somebody else from.
It'll be like that Capital One commercial where they're playing on the playground and there's a bunch of 8-year-olds and Barkley.
Right.
I guess I'll take Chuck.
Yeah, they picked me first. Oh God. Well, sometimes it's the old somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose, and I think we figured out who's going to win and who's going to lose.
I mean, I like Denver as much as I can like another team from the Northwest Division. They're a good team, but the problem is you're dealing with a Golden State team that has experience in spades, and they've got scorers in spades, and that's the problem.
There you go. Hey, Allie, what's the buzz? We're getting ready to go to hockey here in a minute. What's the buzz out in Vegas about? George McPhee, my buddy, and the Golden Knights. Are they gonna eke into that final wild card spot? They're only 3 points out.
So here's my thing with the Golden Knights. I can't watch their games because when I do, they lose. It's like I picked up on this about a month ago. And so I'd like to apologize to any Golden Knights fans for any losses that I may have incurred in the past month of watching our team play. But I don't know because I can't watch those games.
Okay.
They're disappointing. And I know that our city really likes to rally around VGK. I mean, like as any city does, like we love our Knights. We want them to do well. There's definitely like some desperation I've heard throughout the word on the street, I guess, by the street.
There you go.
I mean, up at the bar. So I definitely sense desperation that it's a must win. We're in that must win spot, but I haven't been able to watch the games. And I know getting Ryan Stone back, Matt Stone, I went to high school with Ryan Stone. Matt Stone back was a really big deal for us. But then we lost on that first night that he played. And I only watched 5 minutes of that game. And we still lost.
Oh, well. And I would not take it personally. I don't think it's you.
I definitely do. 100%.
Okay.
What other explanation is there, Jim? Think about it.
Blame Lenny.
We'll have to ponder
He's not
that.
here.
We'll have to ponder that for a moment. Let's see. So Cobra Kai never dies. That's a funny line. We'll get Andrew. I'll tell you what. I'll give you the winner of USFL. Let me see if I can. USFL Tampa Bay Pittsburgh tonight. A little bit later. Okay. Anybody on Mark Stone in Winnipeg today?
No, he's not. He's not. Mark Stone is the guy for Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Winnipeg boy. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't. Reading English is difficult for me at this point. I don't know what the heck is going on there. All right. Well, before we go to the NHL, how about we talk about something that a group that we all know and love, and that would, of course, would be Caesars. You see, winners, whiners, and all of our buddies at Picks and Parlays and Max Whiners, Max Winners Network. We
I
all
always say
love.
Morning Wood. When I see W or MW, it's Mountain
Yeah.
West or it's Morning Wood.
Well,
it's
there
going
you
to take
go.
a long time.
It's a long time to get there.
Yeah.
So anyway, meanwhile, back at Caesars, the sportsbook is giving you $1,100 for first bet insurance. Place a first-time wager of up to $1,100. Get it back in the form of a free bet if you lose. Okay, so you can't lose. How can you lose?
You can't.
It's impossible. All right. So
you can actually double win.
That's true, which is even better than losing.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I'm not a wagerer from the standpoint of I don't handicap things, but I know that much. Promo code right there. Click on the show box below, and bingo, you'll be all set to go. So check it out. It's in our show box below. Please go down there and check it out, along with all the other fun goodies that we have. So by all means, do it. Remember, you have to be 21 years of age to do it. And also, all three of us always say, always bet responsibly. Okay?
Yes.
All right. Cool. Okay. Time to go to the hockey. The rink we go, and I think it's Calgary, right? Yep. Flames and the Hawks.
In the Windy City.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's face it, the Blackhawks are bad. They're not going to the playoffs.
The Calgary Flames are good. Yeah.
The Flames are still trying to hold off the Oilers and the Kings and everybody else in the Pacific Division. Now, everybody was talking the other day because the Flames were a ridiculous favorite. I think they were minus 570 by the time the puck dropped against Arizona. And everybody spazzed out when the game was 1-0 in favor of the Coyotes early in the second period. Unfortunately, if you were a Coyotes fan, and for the four of you out there that still want to call that team your favorite, reality set in, and the Flames proceeded to win the game in a squeaker by a score of 9-1. So now they get to face a Blackhawks team that's second worst in the Central Division. They're ahead of the Coyotes. The Blackhawks come in with a minus 66 goal differential. They're 1-7-2 in their last 10. They're going to start Kevin Lankinen, who, let's face it, he's 5-13-6 with a 368 goals against and an 887 save percentage. Those aren't good numbers. Jacob Markstrom, he leads the league with 9 shutouts. He's got a 222 goals against, a 923 save percentage. Chicago doesn't score. They don't stop other teams from scoring. That's usually not a good recipe for success, and the record points that out. The Flames are sixth in goals for at 355. They're third in goals against at 249. They're 4-0 in their last 4 after giving up 2 or less. They're 5-0 in their last 5 on the road. They're 22-6 in their last 28 against teams with a losing record. The Blackhawks 7-22 in their last 29 as a home underdog, and let's face it, they are a prohibitive one in this case. You go on and see that the Blackhawks also 15-59 in their last 74 against teams with a winning percentage above 600. Flames have won 9 of the last 11 meetings between these teams, and just for good measure, they've won each of the last 5 in the city of Chicago. If you're a Blackhawks fan, well, you've still got the halcyon days of winning 3 cups in 5 years. Or if you want to go further back, you think about Tony Esposito or Glenn Hall or, Bobby Hull.
Or any of the Hulls.
Yeah, just
there are many.
Just do yourself a favor and don't tune in, because Calgary is probably going to take you to the woodshed and leave you there and dump you in a hole, because it's just going to be a tough night for the Blackhawks. I mean, they have nothing to play for at this point. They traded away Fleury, who is, single-handedly keeping them in games. And
Not
since
anymore.
then they've fallen off a cliff. You won't have Kirby Dach in the lineup for Chicago. He's out with a shoulder injury. Connor Murphy's still dealing with that concussion. And it's just going to be tough sledding for a Blackhawks team. Like we said, 1-7-2 in their last 10. And much to the chagrin of Ryan, the one win for the Blackhawks in that stretch was a 5-4 shootout win over the Sharks on Thursday. In a game where we took the Sharks, so that's a double whammy for Ryan.
Right. Hey, by the way, you for once to know if we're liking Spanky's team tonight.
I like the Canucks over the Stars because they're playing at home, unless Bruce pulls another stupid move and decides to start Halak, which if he does, we'll never pick Vancouver again. Because let's face it, Halak is terrible. As of right now, it's supposed to be Jake Ottinger and Thatcher Demko.
Okay.
As far as the total, I could see it going under 5.5. Dallas has gone under in their last 4 on 1 day of rest. They've gone under in 5 of their last 6 after scoring 2 or less. They've gone under in 5 of their last 6 against the Pacific Division.
So there's that.
Yeah, and Vancouver doesn't like to score a ton of goals. They're kind of like the Barry Trotz of the West. Speaking of Barry, tough break yesterday for you guys as you went to Toronto and lost. And they lost in a game where Austin Matthews didn't even play. So it was good for me on a double note because, not only did Toronto win, but it helps wash out some of the bad taste of the Harold Ballard years as Toronto won their 50th game, set a team record in the process, which is saying something for a franchise that's been around for a century.
Yeah.
But, back in the days when Harold Ballard owned the team in the 80s, he would turn off the water fountains at Maple Leaf Gardens so he could sell more concessions. Sad part is that's a true story. It's not made up.
So anyway, from Calgary and Chicago, we head off to the Canes.
Hey, look, it's Arizona. What did we just talk about?
The Cacti are playing the Hurricanes.
Arizona, terrible.
Now, Hurricanes lost on the night that the Coyote to the Avalanche, right? On the night,
they're the high-scoring game.
Yeah, the night that they clinched the number 1 seed in the West.
Yeah, that was a 7-4 game, I think it ended up. And let's face it, now you're facing a Arizona team that is bad. And, if you look, I believe the Coyotes are on pace to clinch the worst record in the West. So there's that.
They're working at it.
Yeah, they've got 49 points. The Kraken are next at 54. So they've got some work to do.
Right. Don't release the Kraken. Yeah.
But let's face it, Arizona, not a good hockey team. They come into this one dead last in goals for, third worst in goals against. Carolina's 10th in goals for, 329. They lead the league in goals against at 243. I guess that's why Carolina's going to start Antti Ranta instead of Frederick Anderson. Arizona's going to start Karol Melka because that's pretty much all they have. Nobody wants to see Profsitev in net for the Coyotes. But let's face it, there's not been a whole lot of good to talk about with the Coyotes this season. We know they're going to move on Arizona State's campus into that, 5,000 seat arena.
Mm-hmm.
On the plus side, they'll be able to say they have a sellout on a regular basis next season. On the negative side, it would be because there's 4,000 and change in the crowd.
No $17 beer.
Yeah, they won't have 17. Well, geez, then they might not have sellouts then because, those people got to be drunk to watch Arizona.
Yeah,
you look at how bad they've played this season, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon.
Well, there's not that many games to get better.
Well, even next season, because the Coyotes don't want to spend any money. Look, they nearly got themselves kicked out of the Gila River Arena because they didn't want to pay taxes or whatever.
Right.
And, they got a bunch of guys that are hurt. So, that's not going to help them now. They've still got Phil Kessel, who I'm surprised they didn't try to unload at the trade deadline, but I guess nobody wanted him.
There's that.
But it boils down to the fact that the Coyotes are overmatched in this one. You just look at how bad the numbers are and see that the Coyotes are 5-22 in their last 27 against teams with a winning percentage above 600. They're 0-5 in their last 5 after scoring 2 or less, and they're 1-4 in their last 5 when their opponent gives up at least 5 goals in their previous game. If Carolina doesn't win this one in a rout, the Hurricanes are going to have bigger questions than whether they can hold off the Rangers in the Metropolitan Division.
True.
And
Hey,
Jim,
Al.
Michael mentions real quick that
Yes.
he's heard rumors of the Coyotes moving to Houston.
Well, Michael, that'd be lovely, but ain't going to happen.
We can bring back the Houston Aeros.
I do remember them. The Houston is a surprisingly good hockey town. And Allie, you lived in Houston, didn't you?
I'm from Houston. I went to U of
Okay.
H. Yeah, I was
Okay.
born and raised there.
There you go.
I don't think of it as a hockey town though, but I'm not a hockey person, so maybe that's why. But you guys would probably know better than me as far as hockey goes. But yeah, I don't think of Houston as a hockey town at all. I
So
think
would
of
you
us.
rather have a hockey team or the Rockets?
I'd rather have the Rockets any day.
The current Rockets.
Yeah, I'll take them. I don't want hockey. I don't need the Coyotes. You're giving me the Coyotes or the Rockets? Don't be ridiculous. I'll take my Rockets.
Ryan went to Oriole Park at Camden Yard. Beautiful day, by the way, yesterday for the Orioles Yankee
Hey,
game.
look, Coors Light was only $14.
$14, such a deal. Ryan, you got a deal, buddy. I remember going to at Nationals Park. I think it's the second or third year that it was open. You could go into the ballpark, and on one side there was a Coors Light stand. On the other side there was DC cupcakes. Okay, there was a bigger line for DC cupcakes than there was for Coors Light, and you're thinking, all right, the baseball fans have gone a little to the different side of the to the thing, because if you got a line that's twice the size of the beer line to get a cupcake,
That's impressive.
Just saying,
impressive.
There you go,
They
Michael.
also sell beer at DC Cupcakes, though, because if I can get a cupcake and a beer, I'm going in that line.
No, you couldn't. You had to go across.
Just check.
So what you do, Allie, is you bring the person you come with, right? You say, all right, I'm going to get in the cupcake line. You get in the beer line, and we'll be out there. We'll be good. Okay.
Yes.
So
I love this plan.
You got to think, strategically when you go that route.
But look, Michael said, Jim, that the Rockets owner, Fertitta, apparently wants the Coyotes. So look, he can mess up two teams.
And Dallas wasn't a hockey town either. I mean, neither was Vegas. It's not. I just don't relate. Like when I think of Houston, I think of like who's walking around with what shirt on, and it's always Astros. It's just Astro heavy every time I go back. So that's just how I think of it. And also, I don't hockey, so I don't hang out with people that hockey. Houston doesn't have a hockey team, so
And to answer your question, Michael, no, I checked this morning. Jim did not get a cheesesteak.
No, I did not get a cheesesteak.
Much to the chagrin of everybody that bet yes on the prop bet for that.
Right.
Where yes was going off at -110.
Ooh.
Couldn't too many things going on there, Michael, but thanks for asking. What was it? The USFL.
Houston
Watched
won
a little
that
bit
yesterday.
They did. Houston won. By the way, Houston's a good sports town. I had the luxury of being there for a year, living in the Astrodome Hotel, and it was a great place to hang out. Great sports town. That was when Elijah was playing for the Rockets, and we had a lot of fun with him.
That was a great. Me and my man were trying the other night. We like to play little trivia games with ourselves, and we couldn't think of the 5 starters on that team. It took us forever, and then just out of nowhere, I walked into my backyard, and I was like, Mario Ellie, Mario Ellie, and I felt like I just
scream it as loud as you could. Yeah,
I felt like I just won a trophy for crying out loud. But I love that team. It was fun to live in Houston then.
It was.
They started Mario Ellie over who? Because
we were just trying to name all the guys on that team, and it was like Mario Ellie, Vernon Maxwell, Robert Ory, and they kind of all intertwined because there was 2-3 years of it, and then I couldn't think of it was the little
even Drexler was.
Yeah, Clyde Drexler, Olajuwon, Scott. Was it Scotty Barnes? No, there's a little.
Scott Brooks.
Scott Brooks. There it is.
Right.
Scott Brooks. So yeah, it was like one of those nights when you're drinking and you're trying to figure everyone out. But we knew we were missing one, and it was Mario Alley. It was
Otis Thorpe.
30 seconds. I was a genius.
It was great at the Summit. They don't play at the Summit anymore. Summit doesn't even. I don't think the
Summit is now Joel Osteen's church. That's what's happening there.
I almost said, "Oh my God!"
Well, now you just did. So
well, that's true. I did.
It's it's kind of disturbing to me, but the Summit is now Joel Osteen's church. So
Hey, Michael. If I would have got cheese whiz. There's no reason a Philly cheesesteak is not really a Philly cheesesteak unless you have cheese whiz on it.
I'm so hungry right now.
You would have gone
I've been on camera for 2 hours with no breakfast.
What?
Is that Geno's or Pat's?
Pat's. You go to Pat's. Got to go to Pat's. but I was on the pier, not at the Pats. So there you go.
You should have had it delivered.
Yeah, Uber Eats.
There you go.
Anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch, USFL started over the weekend. One of the downsides of playing all your games in one city is if there's bad weather in that city, then you got problems. And that's what happened to the USFL yesterday, because evidently they didn't realize that it actually rains and there's lightning in Birmingham. So there's that. And so that became a problem, which forced the Pittsburgh game against Tampa Bay to be held tonight. So it's on Fox on FS1.
Monday Night Football,
FS1, Bandits and Pittsburgh. So the points are 3.5, giving up the Bandits. Obviously, look, guys, these guys have not played at all against each other. They haven't played at all. So it's the first game of the season. From every indication is that, Tampa Bay probably has the most talent, in large part because of Jordan Tamal, who played at Ole Miss. He was with the St. Louis Battlehawks back in the old days of the XFL in 2020, and he was the best quarterback in the league then. Whether that translates to tonight, I don't know, but it's not.
They're going to throw the ball.
Well, yeah. Well, Todd Healy, that's his MO. I mean, he was an OC in Pittsburgh. He worked with Roethlisberger. He's been all over being an OC. So, and fortunately for him, he was coaching in Sarasota High School, and got the phone call to come and catch up with the Bandits. So I would say Tampa Bay tonight is 3.5 points is not a big deal. And I don't know that Pittsburgh is that talented a team. So
no, I mean, they're going to have Kyle Lauletta, former 4th-round pick of the Giants, played at Richmond, is their starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They used their first pick on Jeff Thomas, but I think they cut him.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so that was a great move.
Yeah, the general manager probably got cut 2 days afterwards. So there's who wants picks and parlays? I don't know. What are you, an investor?
Yeah, Craig Trapp technically, but not exactly.
Well, I don't think we need to get deep into this one. I just happened to see that and it kind of popped up at me like, why would someone ask? All three Southern teams beat Northern teams. Tampa Bay is the way to go tonight from Michael. Okay.
Andrew said that line went up to 6 on DraftKings too.
On tonight's game?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Of course, it's got to move because apparently people realize, hey, Pittsburgh probably sucks.
Yeah, well,
they weren't good originally when the USFL was around. So
they didn't stay there, so they got moved.
Well, but I mean, they were terrible in the 1 year they were there, and the whole thing with Mike Rozier and everything else.
Yep, I remember. I was there. Okay, so anyway, let's go for 2 for the money. You ready to go, guys? Let's go for 2 for the money. Why not? We got nowhere else to go. All right, here we go. April 18th. There we go.
Well, we talked about these games
those look
already.
Familiar.
Yeah, the Hurricanes and the Flames, I look for them to roll rather easily in that one over both those teams that are the 2 worst teams in the Central, 2 of the 3 worst teams in the Western Conference as a whole. These are games that division leaders and teams that want to make a run in the playoffs should win convincingly. And if you don't, then you've got other questions you've got to answer. We talked about the Dodgers. I just can't trust a guy who's got a ERA of 15 and a WHIP of 3. And you're going against a guy that gave up no hits and no walks and struck out 13 guys in 7 innings against the Twins in his lone start. I don't like Kershaw necessarily, but, I mean, you can't argue with a guy that gets results. And Atlanta just keeps playing like they have a hangover. I mean, they haven't looked good the first 10 games of the season. I don't think it's going to get a whole lot better going to Dodger Stadium here. And then we've got Vegas and New Jersey, and New Jersey is the Eastern Conference version of probably San Jose or Seattle or Arizona or Chicago, Kudos to the Capitals for backing into the final playoff spot yesterday, Jim. So now they've clinched. So we knew the 8 teams that were going to be in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference going back to probably Thanksgiving, but now it's finally official.
Right.
We know who's going to be in. But New Jersey, nothing to play for. They haven't looked good most of the year.
And the Golden Knights have something to play for.
Yeah, and they need wins. Like you said, they're 3 points behind the Kings for the final guaranteed playoff spot in the Pacific, with a game in hand on Los Angeles. And if you look in the wild card standings, they sit 4. So they're actually further back in the wild card. They're 4 points back of Nashville and Dallas. Both have 91. Dallas has a game in hand over Vegas. Nashville does not. So a win here could go a long way towards tightening things up. It would then put them 1 point behind the Kings. And the Kings, let's face it, they've struggled a bit of late too. Losing Drew Doughty was a big blow to their blue line and has made things a lot more difficult for them down the stretch. So I think at this point, Vegas's best chance might be catching Los Angeles as opposed to trying to catch a wild card.
Yeah, it's possible too, right? All right, so Razor Sharp wants to know, are you guys school teachers? Because there's a lot of chalk. Razor, we love people like you. The fact of the matter is, it's gambling, okay? If everything went as according to Hoyle, then it would be called cashing in. It doesn't always work. So when we come up and show you that sometimes the teams that are favorites are favored because they're going to win, and we win, that's called cashing in. So if you don't...
Plus, you have to remember, too, that we're not just doing one game at a time.
Right.
Because then you have to factor in. If I sit around and take everybody that's plus 250, like if I were to take the Blackhawks and the Coyotes and the
Braves,
Devils and the Capitals, for example, who are all massive underdogs in these games tonight, sure, the potential is there that you could get a massive return on the investment. But when you're going and betting 4 games at once, and Allie will tell you this just as much as anybody else, because with all the cross bets and everything that she does, it doesn't necessarily work out that way where chasing underdogs pans out. Because in this situation, sure, if you're betting straight out games one at a time, that's one thing. If you're betting 4 or 2 or 6 or 57 and you need them all to pan out, chasing underdogs isn't always the way to go. Would you agree with that, Allie?
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's all in the way that you look at it, because you're parlaying. So as far as straight bets go, I would take all of those as straight bets. Like my limit is a 150. And 150 minus 150, I've got to really like you. But I mean, a minus 155, 120, I would straight bet all of those and then parlay them together too. I mean, chalky to me is when you're getting into like the minus 180, 200. That's a lot of chalk. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, but I see you're taking minus 430, minus 311 or 350.
I just put them both up because some people, if you don't put them up, then they complain that they don't want to lay the run line or anything, and then there's other people who are like they don't want to do the money line. So you give them both the options.
I mean, I think with the 2, what does that pay? What's the Dodgers and the Knights both on the money line? What does that pay?
Let's see. I haven't looked because I don't necessarily pull it up all the time.
I can get it.
Well, the point to the whole thing is we are doing multiples.
Yeah.
And multiples are different than going on a straight bet.
Yeah, so, you'll get... Oh, crap. Okay, sorry.
So that's, I mean, it's like, Allie, you do a lot of teasers, right?
I do tease. That's a basketball thing. I tease in college basketball.
Okay, but I mean, the theory is there, right? I mean, the theory of going with multiples in teasing. You don't tease a game, right?
Yeah, you can't.
So
10 will win you 939 on that 2-team parlay. Knights and Dodgers money line, 10 would win you 939.
And then the run line would be obviously better than that.
Yeah. But I don't lay. I don't lay runs and a half. I told you that Dodgers situation was...
Yeah, I'm surprised you did 2.5, to be honest.
Yeah. It was at plus 110. And like, honestly, the cap in my head was that the Dodgers, and the Dodgers had a shaky start. They started off that series in Colorado. They weren't looking great. Wherever they went next, I don't feel like they were looking great. And then they came home, or maybe that was, but anyway, when they came home, it was kind of time for them to light some stuff up. And that was just my cap on the game was opening day. They're going to freaking jam. And so 2.5 made sense to me there. Yeah. And they did. But yeah, like I just don't see the value of laying runs or goals in sports that typically end in a 1-point spread. Like I always want to take. You guys know that.
Right. Lex, wait until the fall when college football and everything is back, and then you'll probably be able to run together 57 games. I mean, I've seen people do 25.
What are they, nuts?
Well, I mean, and the thing was, the one guy that did it, he took 25, but he was taking some of the ones, they're talking about the big numbers here. The guy took one of the picks was Alabama, who was minus I don't know, what was it, 7,000 or something like that at the time.
That's about an Alabama score.
Yeah.
Probably against some of my teams.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but I mean, you saw some of so I mean, you take all those big numbers, but I mean, he turned $25 into, I think it was like 246 grand or something like that. And that's even with taking those big favorites. I mean, obviously the more branches you have, the more chances you have to go wrong, but the more chances that, if those pan out, it doesn't matter.
Guys, we have Cobb and McGill, two pessimism. They're up by 7 runs. But now, earlier I saw 6.5. What am I missing there, guys? Chris, Allie, jump in on that one.
I don't think you're really missing anything. The line the total was set at 7 last night. Then it went down to 6.5, and then it went back to 7. So, I mean, McGill's got an ERA of nothing.
You're welcome, Kevin. It's our pleasure.
Yeah, McGill's got an ERA of nothing in 10 1/3. Cobb went 5 innings, gave up 2 runs in his start against the Padres in that game that was 13-2. Yeah, Lex gets it.
Yeah.
And James says that guy was busting balls. So I'm wondering if he's, Patrick Dunlap again. You remember that character?
Oh, Patrick Dunlap came and yelled at me one day.
He came in and called Lenny an old biddy or something on here when Lenny was on the one day.
He told me not to talk crap about Hope Solo. If I don't know the facts, I shouldn't be able to say anything. And I'm like, well, I read a thing, and this is my opinion on the thing I read. So here we go.
Well, I mean, he talks a bunch of stuff, and then he doesn't show up for
Bill,
a while.
we said it was a good idea, that Tampa Bay was the better of the two teams, and we felt, that wasn't, it was 3.5 when we saw it. We didn't see it at 6.
But I think even at 6, you're probably safe. I wouldn't go any higher than that.
Yeah.
Sly said Patrick's a day drinker.
I'm not mad at Patrick for that. Okay, that's neither here nor there.
Right. People have their ways of doing things.
Yeah. I've got to run. My kiddo he's off today for Easter observed, but he just woke up and I can hear my stomach's grumbling too. So I've got to jet out of here, but thank you guys so much for having
Allie,
me.
thanks. It's always a pleasure. Have a good day. It's always great having you on the show.
I'll see you guys.
Say goodbye, everybody, to Allie. All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye, gang. Okay, so there goes Allie. All right, let's go forth for the show.
All right, we've got the Brewers over the Pirates. I just think the Brewers are due to hit sooner or later, and let me be perfectly honest and put this out there to start. I don't like either one of these teams at all. I hate the NL Central as a whole. And, like I said, the Brewers are probably the team I hate the second most behind the Cardinals. But I'm not sold that Pittsburgh with their 75-man pitching rotation is going to, hold up. And they're not big offensive weapons either. The Phillies over the Rockies, I based that off the pitching matchup because if you look, it's supposed to be Aaron Nola. And I think it's Chad No, I'm Not Cool pitching for the Rockies. That just shows you Colorado does not have much depth in their rotation. Nola, I know, has struggled a little bit. The Phillies got off. They won their first 2. They've lost 6 of 8 since. You have to think that this is a chance to bounce back. They've got a ton of money they spent in that lineup. It's time for guys like Castellanos and Schwarber and Harper and Real Muto and Hoskins and insert name here, and your ad goes here to step up and put some runs on the board. I mean, they were disappointing over the weekend in Miami. They lost 3 out of 4 to the Marlins. Who would have thought that?
And Bryce and Schwarber both hit home runs.
Yeah, but I mean, they scored
but there's
7
nobody
runs.
on base.
Yeah, they scored 7 runs in the 3 losses,
Mm-hmm.
and they scored 10 runs in their 1 win. That's
Saved it all for one day.
Yeah, pretty much.
James, the Diamondbacks are off. That game is the Nationals and the Diamondbacks are rained out. They're going to play a doubleheader tomorrow.
Yeah, and if you're looking for an under machine, the under machine of the year so far is the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles have gone under. The under's gone 9-0-1 in their 10 games this season. They get the A's at the whatever they're calling the Oakland Coliseum these days.
Condemned.
The dump.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've got that going. I think they knocked that total down to 7.5. But I mean, if you're going to chase an under, that might be the way to go. Spencer Watkins going for the Orioles against Frankie Montas for the A's, provided, and we've said this before, provided Montas doesn't get traded.
We've got a weather report from Michael. Snow in Chicagoland overnight, Tampa Bay.
I think it's going to. Go ahead, Jim.
I was just going to say, if it's snowing in Chicago, I wouldn't put a lot of cash on Tampa Bay. They're pretty much a warm weather team. Oh man. So
yeah, I mean that's going to be wow. So Sly is back in the Pirates' first 5 on the run line and the money line and the full game. Sly, what's the line on the first 5 anyway? Do you know? I'm just curious because I hadn't seen it, so not since last night anyway. The 76ers and the Raptors we talked about,
right, and
with those guys missing, it's just gonna be tough sledding for Toronto
and Warriors with
their
Warriors with their small lineup was lethal the other night, and no reason why it ain't gonna be lethal again today.
Right. And then here on the menu, we've got I'm going to go with the Mets over the Giants. I just think playing at home will work in favor of McGill and company. The A's over the Orioles, I just can't trust Baltimore. I know they took a couple from the Yankees. This is the matchup that nobody will tune in to watch, even if it was on TV, because, let's face it, they're 2 last-place teams. I actually was backing the Cubs over the Rays before getting that updated weather report. Kyle Hendricks pitches well at Wrigley
in the cold.
Yeah, and McClanahan, I don't know, has he ever pitched in cold weather?
Not that cold. That's snow. How many pitchers have pitched in that weather?
True. Yeah, they're saying the temperature is supposed to be about 40 degrees with a 20-mile-an-hour wind blowing out towards right.
Okay, so the wind is blowing out.
Well, it looks like it's left to right, but it's blowing towards the right field corner.
Okay.
So always entertaining.
Dress accordingly.
Yeah, there's still a 38% chance of precipitation according to the forecast. Game time temperature should be about 41 degrees. It'll drop down into the high 30s as the game goes on. And they're still showing snowflakes potentially, so you be that wet snow.
Right.
So that'll be even better.
Frank wants to tell us that he woke up to snow this morning.
Yep. So there you go.
And Michael, it's like old exhibition stadium.
Michael said Dave Steve was great in snow.
That's true.
That's true. Pitcher.
Who was the guy from Minnesota? I can't remember the guy in Minnesota that was good pitched that was good in snow. Oh, Blyleven.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it was either him or Frank Viola.
Yeah, it was Blyleven. Blyleven was a avid skier, so don't know if that had any correlation to it, but there you go. Raptors and the Sixers already talked about that one.
Yeah, I look for it to go over the total. I think Philadelphia will put up some points there, especially with those missing pieces. It's gonna be tough to stop Embiid. By the same token, I'm looking for Utah and Dallas to stay under 206. Those two teams played Saturday in the first playoff game of the season, and it ended up at 192.
Right.
Luka Doncic not expected to play. He's doubtful again with a calf injury. Tim Hardaway out. Frank Ntilikina also out for the Mavs. So it takes it's tough when you lose a guy like Doncic, because everything runs through him. It would be like the Nuggets losing Jokic.
Right.
And it's tough to adjust for that, especially when you're going into the playoffs. Like I said, you've got all these guys that haven't played big minutes, and now you've got to try to rely on them to contribute. And it's tough. It's tough to get back in gear.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Lex came up with that run line. You'd asked for the run line in the first five.
So it moved down. Okay, yeah, that's not bad. I can see that if the Brewers keep hitting as poorly as they have, that's probably not a bad option. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I look for Denver Golden State to go over the total. I mean, they did the other day. Why not? Ottawa over Seattle and the battle of teams going nowhere. I just think the Senators, they played better hockey of late. It's always great to play good hockey when you're eliminated from playoff contention. But it doesn't help you. Now you're just losing ping pong balls.
Yeah.
The Canucks over the Stars. Boudreaux needs this one for the
playoffs.
Canucks. I think they play Ottawa again tomorrow night, so they'll play the second game of back-to-back. They're 7 back in Nashville for the wild card spots. They're 6 back at the Kings. They've got 7 games to go. They've got 2 games in hand on Los Angeles, so they could really tighten it up if they were to win those 2 games. So you've got that going. And then we've got Colorado, I think, is going to beat Washington.
Washington played well the other night in their win. This is 7-4, something like that, 7-2. I forget what it was. It was some. They put up a big number on. It was Montreal, I think they played the other night.
They beat Montreal the other night.
Mm. And so now they're finishing up. They got 2 more games on this road trip. So there's that. So yeah, it'll be a tough night for the Caps to beat a Colorado team that clinched their playoff spot. Well, number 1 in their division. Andrew says, and Andrew, Tennessee's a good. Tennessee is a very good baseball team. Miami's number 2 in that situation. Tennessee's 13-3, and they're in the SEC, which is a fantastic and very deep baseball conference. So, Tennessee's got a good baseball team out there. 33-3. That's not bad. No question about that.
Is Vanderbilt not good this year?
Vanderbilt's okay, but not.
I know they're not as good as they. I imagine they're not as good as they were with Rocker and
yeah.
And was it Leiter?
Leiter, yeah. They have. Vanderbilt has had some ridiculous baseball teams as of late. They've been basically a AAA farm club to the major leagues, and there's no right now. Tennessee is the class of college baseball. There's no question about it. I got a real quick. Hang on, just a second. I got a thing here that I can tell you about. The reason I know it is because I wrote it. So that shouldn't take
about
long.
That?
Yeah, how about that? Not that anybody should read it, just that I'm looking for it. Okay, here it is. Okay, all right. So here's what we got. And that is here's your top 10. You got Tennessee at number 1, Miami number 2, Oregon State number 3, Texas Tech number 4, Oklahoma State number 5, Arkansas number 6, Texas number 7, Virginia number 8, Louisville number 9, and Notre Dame top 10.
Yeah, I see Vanderbilt's 23-9, so they're not playing bad ball.
Oh no. Vandy,
it's just not up to their normal standards.
Right. They tend to come around during tournament time. And here's one that is a bit of an outlier. Gonzaga, 21 and 14th rated in the country. So there you
that
go.
is unusual.
Little bit of everything for everybody there. So some good college baseball out there. So anyway, Bill Belichick was in the stands watching Vandy in a comeback win a couple of games ago. All right, Andrew. I used to do SEC baseball, and some great baseball played in that league. The ACC also, Pac-12. Arizona State used to be a powerhouse. It's true. Not much anymore. So, yeah. So does Southern Cal.
I remember when LSU and Texas and those teams were all powerhouses too.
Yeah, Ben McDonald
Yep.
pitching.
And Warren Morris hit that homer in the College World Series.
Mm-hmm. Pirates, Angels. That's his parlay. What do you think? +1.
Well, +1.5. I could see that. The Astros should win the game, I would think. But like Allie was saying, you get a lot of one-run games early in the season, so you can do worse. Trust me.
And I have.
Yeah, especially the way we've seen the Brewers not hit. I'm just banking on the fact that sooner or later you have to think they'll break out of it.
Yeah, you're
but
hoping.
No, I think you're on the right track there, Lane.
Mm-hmm. All right, boys and girls. I'll tell you what. Scott and Scott have already started their show, and they're on the Max Wagers Network, and we want you to check them out for sure. And we also want you to know that at noon you've got Midday Money.
Sean Higgs.
By Sean Higgs. And then the aforementioned guest we had today, Allie Burns, who comes up with Morning Wood at 1 o'clock. Then it's, the two of us hanging out with you at 2 to 3. Then Scott and Scott from 3 to 4-ish. And then Lenny and the boys, Tim and Nick, the Flying Earl brothers, show up for 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock to kind of set you up for the night right here on the Max Wagers Network. Be sure, guys, to start subscribing to the Max Wagers Network, because wherever you're watching us, whether it's winners and whiners, picks and parlays, or any number of other outlets that you're watching, very soon we're going to be keeping our exclusive content right here on this channel. It'll still be free, but it's going to be right here on Max Wagers. So do us a favor and hit and subscribe. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that bell. And that way you'll know where we're going to be every day at 2 o'clock. Okay? So that's what we want. Meanwhile, don't forget the DraftKings deal for baseball. Don't forget the Caesars deal for bet insurance. Don't forget the fact that you can get Chris's parlays. And, of course, the baseball book is still out there for free. All of that stuff we talked about in the show box below. Take a minute, check it out, and see all the cool stuff that we got down there. All right? Okay, gang. Chris, any final words?
Just enjoy the week 1 of the USFL. Don't forget the NFL draft coming next week.
Yes.
We're working on getting some people that can give you some inside information about some of these guys, where they might land.
Yeah, and who might benefit from that. And maybe even by that time, Baker Mayfield may be playing somewhere else. It won't be in Pittsburgh, though. That part we can tell you right now. There was some report that Cleveland and Pittsburgh were talking about a Baker Mayfield trade. Joe Burrows, Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, and Lamar Jackson all in the same division. I don't think that's going to happen. So there you go. I think that's interesting, but no, not going to happen. But it's going to be fun to find out. All right, gang. Have a great day. Thanks a lot for joining us. We really appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow.